All right, we're going to go ahead and get going. Uh-oh. Hang on. We had a little bit of an echo there. Goals and visions, yeah, they're looking good, aren't they? Glad you like it. It's yeah, it's awesome. Um, I think the whole community kind of feels this way. You know, that's one interesting thing is everyone believes in inclusion and diversifying things in a way that we can move forward with decentralized organizations. And yeah, it's great. It's kind of all encompassing of how a lot of people are feeling we need to move in this world. So I'm excited for the future. I hope all of you are. But welcome again to the next live stream for District 0x. Just a quick reminder, just to keep an eye on the rules and let's stay on topic. I kind of put a few more posts out there in on Reddit and everything, so we might get a few more people tonight. But yeah. Oh, Jay Fiana, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Did you have a quick question? You're welcome to shoot really quick. Make it quick though. I do have a quick disclaimer I want to give everyone for tonight's stream because this might be an intense one. How are you, Puttersworth? Good to see you. Let's see. I'm not bad at all. Not bad at all. Okay, well, let me jump right in here. Quick disclaimer, tonight we're going to be going through the finance section of the district proposals. This might get a little in-depth with a lot of the regulatory aspects of things. I do have a little bit of experience in the regulatory space, so I'm going to answer to the best of my ability, but I do want to give a quick disclaimer just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Any views or opinions represented in this live stream are personal and belong solely to myself and do not represent those of the people, institutions, or organizations that I may or may not be associated with on a professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated. A lot of these things are going to be my personal views on the regulatory side of things, and a lot of it's going to be very speculative because I don't think there is such thing as a blockchain professional just yet, because everyone's still trying to get their head wrapped around the regulatory aspects of how all this is actually going to pan out. Even regulators, enthusiasts, educators, businesses, governments, everybody. So I did want to throw that out there as well. And this live stream is for informational purposes only. So let's go ahead and get started and jump right in. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so how many people here have a proposal that is in the finance category? How many people here? Show of hands. We have zombie hands. We have all kinds of stuff you can throw in there. Feel free to do so if you feel the need. But I do want to kind of get a show of hands to see who all, if I'm going through your proposal tonight. Nobody? Puttersworth, you have a finance one, don't you? I thought you did. You don't? Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, that's all right. We'll go ahead and just jump right in then. Some people said they were going to be a little bit late, so that'll be all right. We're going to just dive in and get kind of a slow start and see where we're at with some of these. Some of these we've already gone through, obviously, like Factori was the invoice factoring, and I believe this was a loan. I believe they had like a loan feature in there as well, which is interesting because there's a few in here that are loan based, so we'll dive into that. But this actually had like a feature where you actually go through the invoicing in something like ETHLance, and you could actually get loans based on that activity, if I remember correctly. But let's see here. The pool district. Let's jump into this one, huh? Okay, so the pool district. All right. Enabling small fish to become a whale. to create a modular district that users are able to spin up for certain ICOs, projects, or staking coins that require a minimum amount of funding which these users couldn't reach on their own, similar to an office pool for everyone to spring for pizza. This pool would then buy into the project, and the resulting coins would be split up proportionally to the funds it received. Create a district, where the description is create a district where users can pool their funds together so they are able to reach minimum funding levels of certain ICOs, projects, or staking coins. Any funds returned to the pool will be split proportionally to the funds received. Multiple pool districts will exist, one for each project that interests users, and they can be spun up by users. There will also be an entrance fee to cover gas. Okay. If they leave before the main transaction to the ICO, then they get their remaining entrance fee minus gas cost to send to the pool address. If they leave after the main transaction to the ICO, then they get their remaining entrance fee. Okay. So this one looks like it needs a little bit of work to kind of clear up how this would actually function. I might. Let's see here. It's basically similar to some of the ICO investment pools that already exist on Reddit. There's a few of them I've seen where you just basically send in, there's a fee for doing so, but this looks like it would actually function in more of a decentralized fashion, so you can actually govern it and change the bylaws and the terms of how it all works. So that's kind of an interesting idea. That's cool. Okay. Escargot. I think we already dug into this one. This is just basically a typical escrow service, but with, of course, the Aragon-style governance that is going to be included once Aragon launches on the mainnet. So that's an interesting idea because you could do a lot of interesting things with the smart contracts, and there's a few people here in the community working on escrow projects, so that's kind of neat. Okay, so Remitex. Let's take a look at this one. Decentralized crypto fiat exchange and remittance platform that's easy and simple for both sender and receiver. All the sender has to do is search for and select a listing, send crypto/fiat, and be notified when it has been sent to the recipient. Main benefits: users can vote on rules and fees, no centralized control, no central place where user data is collected, less susceptible to hacks as there isn't a central target, cheaper and quicker than traditional methods, provides easier access to crypto. So they have types of users: senders, exchangers, and recipients. So this one's going to have a lot of precarious issues with regulatory factors. So one of the big ones is going to be remittance from country to country is highly regulated depending on what country you're sending from and to, and you will have to have some type of KYC in place to allow this to work, because the way regulators are looking at a lot of these decentralized apps is no different than a company. If you are acting as an exchanger or someone who's sending or receiving, you're expected to provide basic KYC information. And if you are taking the initiative to use a decentralized app, that is your responsibility rather than the company's. So if you aren't doing those things, it's going to be no different than a company not doing those things. And if you look at some of the things that have happened to like Western Union for non-compliant situations, those penalties are not pleasant. And if you're an individual doing it, and it's no different than a business doing it, it's probably likely you're going to end up being made an example of. So this is a tough one here. You would have to have some type of KYC in place, even if you can't actually shut down the system. And it's basically like local bitcoins, a decentralized version of local bitcoins. You would still have to comply with all those laws. But the other issues is the person you're sending to would have to comply with the laws in their region, and where you're sending from, you'd have to comply in the laws from there. So yeah, this is a tough one. I always look at things like Civic as a way to maybe get around those issues and actually comply with some type of KYC. But I don't know how that's going to work in a fully decentralized app until they're further along with development, but I do think they're leaning in that direction, so we'll have to see. Just the pooling one, take many people to act as a whale. Hi everyone, hello Tech Aspirer, it's good to see you. You're doing stuff with the escrow too, so yeah, we'll probably get to yours tonight as well, I believe. What have we covered and what's the topic? Yeah, we're going through finance, so we're gonna probably hit on yours. Yep. How are you doing, by the way? It's good to see you. Let's see. Hello. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I haven't known how to pronounce it in Slack either. Is that I'll just call you DC. Would that be okay? Dennis. Okay. Dennis. Dennis from DC. Okay. Move to Bangkok. Cool. Right on. I would like to visit there. That would be nice. Looks amazing. Okay, so yeah, this one, I fear a lot of these people are trying to look at a way to sidestep regulatory agencies by using a decentralized app, and unfortunately that's not really the case. A lot of regulatory agencies are applying literal copy and paste regulation from the traditional financial industry to these, and it's really no different than running a bank. And if you're taking on that responsibility and using these, then you're taking on those responsibilities to start doing KYC. And they even have something called KYCC, Know Your Customer's Customer, which means that if you were sending through a platform like this, you would have to actually have the person you're sending to and anyone in between. So if you're using an escrow service, you would have to have escrow information. I hope we can get past a lot of this, and there is smart regulation that even in one country, if one country does it and we see how much progress you can make with something like this, as long as there's clear-cut guidance with how to do it and not a lot of double standards and patchy spot work regulation as it currently is, then I think some really interesting things could happen. And I'm actually excited about it because if even one country comes out with decent regulation, people can pretty much follow in the footsteps of that if it's something that's working and doing its job of actually trying to maintain some type of stability and not letting things just get chaotic and a free-for-all. Let's see here. Okay, so let's jump to the next one here. Asset management for crypto. Not to deviate from the proposals, but in line with the discussion, will the d0x project make any of these that you've seen thus far obsolete? Not so much. I mean, for their ICO, they used Civic, and honestly, if you want something to be successful and really, I think it was Vinay Gupta that said it. He was at I forget. It was a meeting with a bunch of legislative branches of government, and I think it was a European one. I can't remember exactly, but point being, he says that we need to look at blockchains as future trading partners when looking at it from the perspective of the regulators and governments. And if you have smart regulation that is allowing you to have that blockchain as a future trading partner, then that is very forward thinking and along the lines of where we need to get. And that's true, because if you can actually look at these things as a win-win situation for regulators and the people developing these things and the people using them, then we can really bring that future that we're all wanting closer a lot sooner. And even if we do get to a point in time in the history where things are radically decentralized and it works and it's not total chaos, it will take these stepping stones to get there. So it will take smart regulation and not people just trying to have this free-for-all and sidestep regulations, because sidestepping regulations is just going to get the people using these platforms in trouble. So you still have to have something like that, and Civic is doing interesting things, but I do have mixed feelings about things like Civic, because it could turn into a situation where you made a bad mistake on one platform and you got restricted from access from that platform. Say you just I don't know. There could have been something against that platform's terms of service and on terms of and conditions, and it put a black mark on your Civic identity, and it propagates across the network to everything that you're using Civic on, and it just blocks access to all those things. That's something I worry about, because there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily illegal, and there's some things that are illegal in some countries and not others. And the question is, would that propagate to all the countries? And what are we creating, like global law now based around Civic? And that's kind of what I'm worried about blockchain identities, is the propagation of things that aren't necessarily illegal. So it's a tough one. Just make your own country. Yeah, government exists to protect others. Do anything that doesn't harm others. Easy. Yeah, that's the problem though. Tech is when we're talking about propagating things that aren't necessarily harming someone, but it is illegal in one country. Say that makes a black mark on your Civic identity, and people are just like not wanting to do business with you anymore if you're logging in with your Civic ID, and it's tied to your real ID. So even if you created a new account, you're still blocked. So those things kind of concern me. I think there's a good way to do it and a bad way to do it, and I don't think anyone knows what that actually is yet. And we're kind of in a guinea pig stage, and I'm hoping it works out well. I am an optimist, so I am hoping for the best and expecting the worst. That way I'm not disappointed, but we'll see where it goes. Yeah, laws in the different states vary. It's very spotty. It's patchwork regulation. One thing could be illegal in one state and not the other, and there you go. Now you have a a black mark on your identity, and it's frustrating because yeah, but you can't just like make everything illegal. You can't just be like, oh, that's just straight up illegal. You can't use this type of blockchain identity system. You can't use this type of exchange, because then you're just handing it to criminals, and you're handing them extremely powerful financial technologies that are revolutionizing like everything. And you're like, yeah, only criminals can use that. Okay, so average people still are just SOL, and now criminals just have a heyday. Let's see here. Okay, so it's going to be easy to get off topic here, so I'm going to try and stay on topic of these. But here's the next one here: asset management for crypto. Again, this is going to come with some regulatory hurdles, specifically asset management licensing, because there's not a type of asset management licensing for crypto assets specifically. This is going to be a tough one. I think regulators are going to have to be very forward-thinking and open to allowing people to operate under some type of open system to where they can maybe even create the platform for people to be able to get licensed, or not even have licensing, maybe have it more of a MOOC, open online classrooms and stuff that teach people how to do these things, and earning certificates of so they know what they're doing, and we know that they actually received some type of information and vetting. So I don't know this, but let's dig into this one. Something integral to the space, I believe most could agree would be beneficial and useful. The name of this, they're calling it Eagle Eye Asset Manager and Management. Purpose: to give a one-stop asset manager in order to view your current portfolio, as well as earnings and losses. Okay, so this is actually more of an app, and yeah, they're just looking for more of an app. Okay, problem: investors want to know how their portfolios are doing so they can judge their next move, whatever it may be, and they want it to be as minimally involved as possible so they can go in, see the worth, and get out without having to jump through too many hoops, such as logging into multiple exchanges and add up the value of combined assets. Description: need to check your balances and make sure you're in profits this month. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is actually going to function as a community or marketplace, possibly a community. So I'm going to make a note on this one to come back to it and address that accordingly. Just a heads up to everyone who has had proposals: if you saw that I did close out your proposal and added either the invalid tag, the duplicate tag, or the elaborate tag, those three, invalid is just that it wasn't in line with the district proposal standards. Two, the elaborate one is just really to give people an opportunity to have it opened back up as long as they add a little bit more details, like this one, like how it could function as a market or community. And then you have the duplicate tag, which is just like we've had people put ride sharing ones that were basically the identical proposal twice. So, and I do close those out. I usually leave the one open that was a little more developed, and I either request for someone to add details on why it should be a separate district, or encourage them to merge their idea and work with the other person who has done a little bit more effort into their proposal. Does that sound fair to everyone? I mean, I couldn't think of a better way to do it, but if you have suggestions and you don't like the way I'm doing it, I am completely open to changing the way this is done. But I did need to clean it up because all of you are the ones voting, and I didn't want the voting app too cluttered because there's already quite a few to get through, and I'm trying to clean it up so it's easier to find these proposals if you need to. Cool. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this is mainly just a coin tracker and investment platform is really what this is. They say, I do not believe something like this should be implemented with an exchange as a district, as discussion board could become a troll box with FUD and make getting help much more of a hassle than it should be. So, yeah, you could turn this into a marketplace of actual asset managers or crypto consulting platform, which there's already some that are kind of in the educational side of things that were in line with that. So that's interesting. That could definitely help people quite a bit. But I think there's 3 that I can think of off the top of my head that were basically that same idea. So let's jump into, let's see. Yeah. Hang on one second here. Okay. My computer was lagging out there. Sorry about that. Isn't Syndicator doing exactly this and a much more on a much more sophisticated level? I don't know. To be honest, I haven't looked into Syndicator that much. I've been looking at all of your district proposals and educating people about District 0x. I have not had time to look into it. I would like some opinions, though. If anyone else knows, that would be great. Yeah. Get a razor blade. It's what I'm buying. Okay, so d0x Exchange, an anonymous, low-cost, decentralized market for fiat to crypto exchange. So, for one, I'm just going to say it right off the bat. We kind of live in the day and age of Snowden revelations, so the word anonymous and this year doesn't really work. We have no reasonable expectation of privacy on the internet. That's just the way it is. Everything is compromised down to a hardware level if what Edward Snowden says is correct. And if that's the case, then that's not going to be the case. There is no such thing as anonymous right now, unfortunately. I do think privacy is a very important factor as we move forward because, let's face it, democratic systems don't work very well if you don't have privacy and access to good information, and that's 2 things that we're struggling with globally right now is propaganda and no anonymity and privacy, and that's where we are right now. So, but moving on, we could do low cost and decentralized, but again, we're going to have some type of KYC programs and all that to make this work properly and not just be, well, obliterated by regulatory agencies, which will easily happen. So, to create a decentralized fiat to crypto exchange that is secure, it's basically local bitcoins on the blockchain. I think it would work really, really well. But as you can see, if you just do a Google search, Ethereum isn't and will never be anonymous. That is correct. It is very open by nature. You can see exactly who's interacting with what contract, exactly what the contracts are doing. Well, you're not always going to see what the contracts are doing. Some are a little a little obscure, but you can see if someone is interacting with a contract. So you are correct there. And thank you for that disclaimer, because that is a very important one about smart contracts and Ethereum specifically. That may not always be the case, but right now that is the case, and that is the reality we're facing. So this could work well, though, if it was developed in like developing nations where they don't have infrastructure or financial systems or banks or access to any kind of capital whatsoever. This could work, but they would have to have some type of ability to acquire, and you would have to have a way to distribute tokens or coins of some kind to allow these people to use this type of a system. But I think people in developing nations or nations that are in political conflicts and are cast out of their home country and are trying to operate in some fashion without decent identity systems and financial systems, this might be a great tool to deploy for them, because it would just be a smart contract. It would be easy and cheap to just throw out there and have it. Yeah. You can see previous state and the data sent to it along with the contract code. Yeah, that is correct. But that's basically a shuffler, easy to track. Isn't this just 0x with governance? Yeah, you could use 0x to just make this happen. Just boom, done. It's just a district up and running now. It would be pretty easy to do, I think. Doesn't said governance remove anonymity and openness? It could, yeah, depending on how you're doing it. Like I said, I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do identity, governance, and one ID, one vote, or you could do one coin, one vote. You could do there's the issue with Sybil attacks there, and there's a lot of issues with governance in those terms, which is one reason why it's kind of interesting to have a token model for governance and voting, because then at least you know it's the community members who own the token who are doing the voting, and then it adds a little bit of an overhead to be able to come into the system and influence it in any meaningful way. It still creates rules. Rules are the opposite of openness. Well, not necessarily, because if you're able to propose the rules and vote on the rules, then that's fairly open. I mean, you could have a district that's pretty restrictive on who's able to join. I could see districts where no one joins, and they're just using the contracts and tools to have a very centralized tool that they use for their own personal uses. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it. I'm not saying it should be 100% complete open anarchy. I'm saying if it's doing X, rules that change X removes the ability of X. Yes, but with rules, X becomes Y. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at governance, and I think we're reaching a point right now where we're actually experimenting with governance and political theory in a way that we never have in the history of humankind, which is one reason why I'm really excited about Aragon specifically, and getting to use it for a district, is we're going to really get to experiment with this. And the political proposals I'm actually really interested in, because I think that could be an interesting testing ground for different political theories, because you can take classical political theories, apply them to some of these new concepts, and we're even going to start developing new political theories and based on the game theory that is blockchains. And it's neat that we're getting to do this, and people are doing it at a younger age too, and that's something that's not very common in history. It is now, though. Let's see here. Okay, so yes, so everyone was correct. This is basically 0x as a district with governance, and I could think of a lot of ways this could work well, and I'm excited for seeing things like this. So we'll move on. That's a fairly simple one. Like I said, we're going to get hung up on some of the questions, and I don't mind. I kind of expected a bit of a Q&A for each one of these, but we're already 30 minutes in, so I want to try and keep moving here. So Diversify. Diversify is a cryptocurrency asset allocation and diversification tool to provide long-term cryptocurrency investors with a simple tool to create and purchase a diversified assortment of cryptocurrency through a single transaction. Long-term buy and hold investors are presented with many hurdles in the cryptocurrency market. This district will do the following to address these hurdles. provide a way for a passive investor to choose an asset allocation based on perceived risk sector, other allocations created by community members, provide investors to purchase their chosen allocation with one click by using the d0x platform for decentralized exchange for ERC20 tokens, reduce the cost of transaction by pooling buys and by utilizing decentralized exchanges. So McD here does a lot of work with his proposals, and he, like I said, I love when people do this. I love the graphics, the designs, and the mock-ups. It really helps visualize what they're getting at. But in my mind, there's a lot of portfolio management tools that are coming out right now, but a lot of them are centralized, and none of them are using decentralized exchanges. I think Prism, it might be one that's closer to a trustless exchange, but not decentralized. So this might be like the next step forward for something like what they're doing, which is kind of neat. So yeah, I like it. Let's see here. Example locations. They have payment platform ones. They give different examples here. Yeah, this is cool. Future growth utilizing the d0x different than District d0x. Thanks for the disclaimer there. Protocol will allow investors to continue investing as government regulations begin to hurt exchanges in the future. Yes, that's the other thing, is regulatory bodies in a lot of countries are doing heavy-handed regulation, pat on the back regulation, as I like to call it, where it's just like you just got to get it done because your boss is pushing you to get some type of regulation written up and passed, and that usually makes bad regulation pass. And the problem with bad regulation is it's really difficult to get out of the system after it's been implemented. So it's really important that we all, as users of these tools, really educate regulators and everyone who comes in contact with this. Especially if you know anybody in the regulatory space, you should be talking to them. You should be educating them. You should be talking about the realities that we face and the fact that they are fundamentally different than the traditional financial industry, and you can't have a heavy-handed approach to it because it just doesn't work, because then you're just basically handing off the regulatory flag to another country and saying, here, you guys do it, and this is how we're doing it. All the luck to you, and if they win and do better regulation, that country is going to prosper. And that doesn't sound like the best way to do it. It's kind of like the way the automobile industry worked. I mean, we had all this ridiculous legislation in one country, and then another country just takes off and does better, and it's kind of silly, but I think it's the nature of the beast with emerging technology. That's where we are. Yeah. Let's see here. Was there some sort of rating system I'm sorry, were you talking about for this district proposal specifically? Yeah. Yeah, there could be a rating system, mainly because that's actually a feature built in to what District d0x is building. I think the rating systems are what make marketplaces work, and if it can propagate to other districts, that's even better. So I think that is a must with every single district. It should be a baseline feature across the board. Especially because if you're interacting with a specific district, that will give you the option to build reputation to be used on another district, because some districts, it's hard to get started. Like, say, like a decentralized eBay. It's hard to get an eBay store up and running and sell anything when you first start because no one trusts you. You could build trust through other means that are a little easier than actually selling stuff, which would be really neat because that, again, lowers the bar of entry to these marketplaces, which I'm a big proponent of. Yeah, Tech, you cannot post links in here. It's actually one of the rules because I just don't want scams to happen while I'm not paying attention. But I will post that for you if you would like. No problem. Just ask me or another mod, and I will do that. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Okay. I mean this for proposal. He's discussing its recommended portfolios, correct? And yeah, sorry, I'm kind of just getting back through the questions there. Yeah, this is for basically recommended portfolios and turning it into a community to be able to rate them and even copy them easily. And depending on how this all works out, you could even have it tied to your API keys on an exchange if you're using a centralized one, and maybe even use it in conjunction with a decentralized one. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. We have atomic swaps where you can switch between different currencies that aren't even ERC20 tokens coming soon. I mean, it's mind-blowing what the possibilities in the next few years. You could do a lot, and I'm excited. But so if I was a more passive investor, I could just jump on this and see what portfolios are recommended. Yeah, there's actually a few different platforms that are doing stuff like this. It's really cool. And let's see here. I tried to sow the seeds of a revolution in the eyes of the willing. Yeah, aren't we all? So there would need to be a manager that actually had to go and make these pooled purchases. Yeah, and that might actually make it work too, because that's more of a federated approach. But that would be more of the centralized exchange approach. I think what they're getting at here is using the purely decentralized approach, where it's all automated through smart contracts and ERC20 tokens, so you wouldn't even need to. Let's see. Is there any update on DNT getting on Bittrex? That is a #1 rule on the down there. No exchange and speculation talk. We got to stay on the district proposals because I only got an hour, and we won't get through it if we start talking about speculation and market fluctuations and chart retracements. We won't get far. Okay, so let's see, where are we at? Diversify, Insure Hedge. Okay, this one I am really excited about because speculation is Brady 1/7 shirtless or 3/10. I'll let you guys speculate on that one. I said no speculation. Dang it, Tech! Come on, man. So this one, a lot of the decentralized ride sharing and house sharing and hospitality ones are going to require some type of peer-to-peer insurance system to make them work. You could use a traditional insurance system that might work too. In a lot of cases, depending on the volume of activity you're doing, might actually be more viable instead of waiting for a decentralized peer-to-peer insurance system to mature and actually develop into something usable. I do think within a few years we might see a nice, robust peer-to-peer insurance system developed, though, and it is going to be absolutely crucial to a lot of things making it work. I mean, there was another one during the creative arts live stream that we did where there was musicians that could do instrument sharing, and if someone smashes your instrument, you have to have some type of insurance. So this would solve that. It would solve the housing, ride sharing, everything. But again, there's a lot of regulatory hurdles with the insurance side of things. So this one might work really well if there was an already established project that just wanted to decentralize the governance of their platform to more of a open district type governance, which is really what we're doing. We're lowering the bar of entry for businesses as well to come into District 0x and just decentralize their governance instead of having it as a traditional corporate structure. There's a lot of questions about how that would be handled on the handoff, but there are a few projects in here that are already established projects and companies that they put in proposals specifically to do that and decentralize the governance of their company's board, and that's great. I think that is where the powerful districts that are really strong are the really strong ones are going to be the ones that are already established projects, and I'm pretty excited. Tech, are you hinting at the fact that you have an already established project that may or may not be on the list and we're about to get to here in just a minute? Yes, we will be there momentarily. Let's move on so we can actually get there, though. So, let's see here. So we have another one that's a decentralized exchange. I actually meant to put the duplicate tag on this one because it is the same thing, essentially. Just a decentralized exchange. There's just different ways to go about doing it, and there may even be good areas for collaboration and good areas for competition. Competition breeds innovation, and I am fully in support of districts doing the same thing with two different districts to try and spur that collaborative. It's almost like a cooperative competition. So it's kind of cool because you could even use each other's code because it's all open source and different things you could do. It's neat. I like what's happening with this. So we may even just leave both of those open and see how they develop. So sub-district, flex deal, 0x. Gee, I wonder whose this is. Not to mention any names. Cough, cough. Speak up. So this is Tech Aspirer here. This is his proposal. So we might pick your brain on this one, and I might give you a little bit of feedback on how this could be done. But see, the interesting thing about tech is this is another example of someone who is already doing this, and they just want to decentralize the governance of their project and build a community and network effect using the District 0x platform. So this is cool. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about. So the purpose of this sub-district is to allow districts that handle money to have a secure way to do their transactions. It's a modified form of Flex Deal's upcoming groupings and ERC20 escrow service. Groupings are ways to post offers and handle trades by group instead of by coin, like the main FlexDeal contracts. With FlexDeal 0x, districts can create deals, and ownership of the grouping is represented by ownership of the district. This allows district owners to step in as needed. When the district wants a transaction done, it generates a deal to serve as an escrow. The users would then use the escrow with an arbitrator being set to the district, whose owners can vote within a time limit for a resolution. This way, existing technology is leveraged to provide an escrow, and the district owners stay in control. It is important to note that FlexDeal 0x is not its own district, but a tool for building districts. So this is a really, I left this one open, even though it's not really a district, as you said here. It could function more as a community, so I added the community tag. And this is a good example of how something could be a community first, and then when we launch the module platform, which will act as very much like an app market for the districts, this could be an app in there, and it could start as a community first, and you could even have the governance solutions ready to go. That way, when the app is launched, then it's ready to go, and Tech is already doing this, so this is more than viable right now. All we have to do is take everyone who's already in the community and just understand what he's trying to do here and move forward with it. So yeah, this is a good example, perfect example, actually. You heard it was made by a genius prodigy. Nah, have you heard of Kayaba? I don't know who that guy is. I don't know. Yeah, how are things going? By the way, I am curious. Have you gotten any traction? If not, everyone who's watching the stream, go check it out, because this is an example of someone who's taking their existing work and just wanting to distribute the project a little bit more, and that's awesome. Let's see here. Yes and no. The district has 0 votes or DNT. I think he meant more so just even in your GitHub repo or in your community-led Discord and all that. I've been checking it out. It's a cool idea. But we're going to move on. If anyone has any questions for him, though, now would be the time. He's right here. This is in GitHub. He's Kayaba Nerve, and right here he is Tech Aspirer in the community if you want to talk to him and ask him questions and get involved. Okay, let's see. Breaks are good, Tech. Breaks are good. Don't burn out. Let's see. The bank. Okay, this one is also by you, Kayaba. The bank is a District 0x district for one purpose: to get rid of needing backup files. Oh, I mislabeled this one, didn't I? I have it under finance. We are going to skip this one. Yeah, it is finance. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me dig in. Oh, okay. I'm reading it now. Okay, diving in. Sorry. My apologies. Why should I need two things, a password and a file, to do what one can? The bank takes in funds with a payable Ethereum function and locks it with a hash. To unlock the funds, you send the hash source. Maybe it's a password, maybe it's a photo of your dog. What about hash tables? Those only work for fixed length amounts, take massive amounts of storage, and don't yet exist for the Kekak 256 hash function. I never know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't think I am. Okay. Kekak. Okay. Kek. uh, Let's see here. Token holders could collect the fees, a percentage of the deposit, upgrade the smart contract by making the existing contract a wrapper that forwards data to a new contract, and also disperse gas money for unlocking the funds. Token holders would have an equal stake to the people who have money stored in the bank. Working with the nature of District 0x, the bank would hold both ETH and DNT. Hopefully this may find use. So is this functioning more as a community? Because this looks more like an auxiliary module that would work whenever we launch the app store. I'll put that in quotes, but that's essentially what it is. You know, they're just extensions to the districts. This is standalone, so this wouldn't really work as a community, is what you're saying. Is that correct? Or a market? I guess it could work as a market, but that said, is it regulated by holders? I don't know. I would like for you to kind of elaborate on that a little bit, because to be honest, I kind of see what you're getting at, but I'm kind of a visual learner. Yeah, I'm a little lost too. That's why I was asking for a little bit of elaboration here. You know what, Tech? I'm going to actually put the elaborate tag on here. Can you maybe kind of tone this one down a little bit for people who don't understand what hash tables are, and give it like a really basic, like, visual representation of how that would work? Because I'm kind of even struggling with this, and I'm a little lost. So people would use this on its own. I send a Kekak 256 hash and my money. Later, from any address, I send the source, a photo, a string, a video. That sends the money back. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So, okay, that's pretty simple. I get that. So you would basically be using that almost like you would use your private key, but it's a contract that's locking it, and you would have to send whatever you hashed, like it could be one of my songs or something, to actually unlock it and get it to come back out. Okay. I think I'm following you. Yep, and I wouldn't keep a key on my phone. I would keep my cute dog. So would it have to be that specific file? Would it have to be it would have to be that file, and it couldn't ever change? Well, that's what I'm saying, Puttersworth, because if that was the case, yeah, a single pixel off and it's ruined. That's what I thought. You know, I did something similar. I actually embedded private keys into a photo like that, and it would, if I ever altered that photo in any way, boom, private keys are gone. And yeah, so that's kind of cool. I like that. But when you unlock it, you actually ruin the hash because you sent the hash source. Interesting, interesting. You know what, I'm going to add the elaborate tag. I usually close these out. Actually, well, since this isn't a market or a community, I am going to close this one out. But if you can elaborate on how this would be a community prior to launching as an auxiliary module, I will reopen this one. But I am going to close it out since it's not a community or market. But I really like that. That's really cool, and I would love to see you elaborate on it, please. That is a cool idea. Okay. So the elaborate tab is on there, but I am going to close it out though. But if you do want to elaborate on that a bit more, I would love to see it because that is really neat. Okay, let's see here. Okay, buy my time. I like this one. This is neat. Yeah, no, don't get down on yourself. That was epic. I love that idea. That was actually, yeah, I would use that totally. And I want to see that as an auxiliary module. That would be really neat. But never get down on yourself. That just holds you back from all the awesome work that you could be doing when you're not depressed. Because depression just kills productivity. Don't be depressed. Go look at cute pictures of dogs and work on that project. Okay, so buy my time. This is essentially a time banking system that's a slightly different iteration. And let's dive into it here a little bit. The purpose of Buy My Time would be to create a marketplace that allows people to sell their time directly to other people who want to purchase it for whatever reason. Buy My Time would essentially be a generic district designed to facilitate peer-to-peer communications, bringing together buyers and sellers. The idea being to set up a generic marketplace functionality to allow people to sell their expertise and time on an open marketplace. So I think there's a lot of really interesting ways that you could go about this. You could actually have like a standardization for certain time or specialties where it's actually costs a little bit more for that time slot. And there's actually a few projects that are working on time banking systems, and you actually are selling your time and banking it, and then when someone else is it works like a normal time bank. I don't know if anyone's familiar with how time banking works, but it's just time exchange. The hours you put in are credited to your account, and you can go spend them with someone else in the system. And there's actually a project, I forget, I think it's Kronos or something like that. But they're doing like a time bank iteration, but theirs is a lot different than this even. But yeah, it's neat. I'm a big fan of time banking. I've actually been a member of a time bank for quite some time, and I think it's, yeah, I think that's correct, Tech. But yeah, I've been a big fan of time banking. I don't know, I don't like the idea of tying a direct value to the time, like kind of Chronos works or whatever it is, because it's time is time. I mean, my hour should be worth the same as your hour, and that's just the way I see time banking working best. Otherwise, you have a lot of pitfalls and issues when you try to tie money to time, and some people's time is worth more than others, which is the case, but I don't know. There's a lot to be worked out on this one, but I do like the concept. Let's see. I could sell my time when I'm not doing anything at work. Yeah, you could. D-Form. Hey, I didn't know you were in here. Good to see you. So, do you like to be called McD-Form or D-Form? I don't know what to call you. Back to an actual example, McDonald's hours versus C++ hour. Yeah. McD-Form. Okay, cool. I will address you as such. Yeah, Tech. Yeah, that's cool. You're telling me you do music. That's cool. Yeah, Tech, that is the issue, because if someone has, if they can write code, that is worth more time. I mean, because that's a lot harder. It takes years to develop that skill. A lot of musicians, they're not going to go spend the same hour of their time playing music in a club for the same time that someone would be like fixing their toilet. So there's a lot of pitfalls there, and I'm wondering how that would work. But honestly, this might work because then you're actually buying time for a different amount of actual financial monetary value. So I don't know, it could work. This sounds more like some of the consulting platforms where they list how much their hours are worth to do a specific type of work, and that might actually work, which is kind of what they're getting at in this one. So this might actually work better than some of the other iterations that I've seen, like Kronos Bank. Though, to be fair, I haven't really dug deep into Kronos Bank. I just briefly looked at it, and I don't know. I was kind of, I didn't have enough time to really dig in. They might have something I'm missing there. Yeah, not all work is equivalent. Tech, you disagree, really. Communism fails because people don't release power to the people and become greedy tyrants. But communism's final stage is one without money. No communist nation has reached the final stage. I'm going to avoid political discussions in here because mine involve aliens and nanotech and a lot of weird stuff involving the cross-breeding of humans and rabbits. And Rabbit knows a lot about this. Just kidding. No, I am going to avoid political discussions, though. Okay, so next one is d0x Loan Consortium. Okay, so here we go. So this is not to mention any names. It might be McD form. Not to mention any names. This is another one of his. This guy has been a proposal machine. I gotta say. This is he's leading by example, and I love it. You're holding back? Good. That means you're the future. You're the future visionaries that I'm always talking about, man. You gotta keep doing it. But hold back. You know what was that they say? A good CEO never reveals all his secrets. You die from government poison from you being too close to the truth, not because you were tired. You're distracting me, Tech. You're distracting me. Okay, so the d0x Loan Consortium, a loan marketplace, help individuals in the community acquire virtual land, District 0x voting stakes, and needed financial resources through crowdfunded loans secured with digital collateral. The district will allow users to use digital assets as collateral for loans, opening a new world of possibilities for borrowers and lenders. This district will be a marketplace for 3 types of loans. The first type is a virtual real estate loan, e.g. Decentraland. The second type of loan will allow users to purchase DNT for vote staking and profit sharing. And the third type of loan is a general loan for personal or business projects. Loans will be funded by a group of lenders called a nebula. I like it. It sounds ominous. Loans will be analyzed by lenders, and the most attractive loans will acquire multiple lenders, which results in a lower interest rate. The borrower's grade status can also increase or decrease the risk to borrowers, resulting in less collateral or down payment required. These basic loans will provide those with interest in District 0x virtual land or the pursuit of passion projects with the means to enter the space with minimal initial investment. It will also allow individuals with alternative types of capital that they do not wish to part with to leverage it for additional investments. So, okay, so this loan will allow borrowers to purchase real estate in virtual worlds such as Decentraland with low initial investment. Okay, so hold on, let me make sure I'm not missing something here. Let's see. I'll repost this once. This one sounds similar to PJ's brother's Bloom. PJ should be here. I think he's going to show up here right at the end. He's told me he's going to be running a little late. I don't know if he'll make it. But yeah, Bloom is interesting. I think there's going to be, like I said, competition spurs innovation, and you really have to have it. I mean, a monopoly just gets away with making the rules, and then it just is a certain way and it never changes. And we all know how our internet companies work around the world, and it's no fun. It's kind of bunk. And so we have the real estate loans here, which requires a 20% down payment. So McD form, you're kind of are you trying to build like a revenue model with the way that this works? Is that really what you were leaning towards with this? So there's some type of earning ability for the people participating in this marketplace? Just mitigating risk with down payments? Okay. And a 0x wide loan nebula will purchase the property in the name of a trust group of lenders, and smart contract will transfer ownership of the property when the terms of the loan have been completed. The borrower will be in possession of the property and voting rights during the repayment process. In the future, real estate loans in virtual worlds may prove to be the first step for many to truly enjoyable virtual reality experience. I didn't read that right, sorry. But yeah, I agree. I'm really big into virtual reality, and I think the virtual reality real estate idea is really an interesting one because you can do some just crazy things and build businesses in virtual worlds, which I'm a big fan of. I really think that needs to happen going forward because I've been playing music in Second Life for a long time, and there's a centralized company controlling all the real estate, and they're basically just siphoning off value from that whole market, and it's not very efficient. It's very expensive to do anything, and this type of system might actually really mitigate that problem and take it a whole nother direction, especially considering you have Decentraland, which will have digital currencies in its world. High Fidelity, they're launching a blockchain and a digital currency, and this type of model could be used in there as well. And you could have like server rental systems, and you could start doing things across IPFS and lowering the overhead of costs using Filecoin if you're storing other people's data. And there's a lot of interesting things you could do here to offset costs, and when you apply that to the loan aspect of things, you could even spin up a virtual reality business or nightclub very easily, because it does cost money to get these things started. It costs time, money, you have to literally hire employees, and this could get that off the ground and create amazing experiences for people in VR. And yeah, I'm a big fan. Okay, so DNT vote staking. This was interesting too, because this loan will allow borrowers to obtain voting rights and profit share in District 0x districts with low initial investment. This differs from District Proposal 149 in that the borrower is acquiring voting rights and profit share as well as ownership of DNT. Requires 20% down payment similar to a real estate loan. A 0x wide loan nebula will be created that includes the borrower. Smart contracts will be deployed that repay the lenders from the district payouts and from the borrower's wallet. Voting stake will be tied to the borrower only. When the loan has been satisfied and the market contract will transfer DNT directly, when the loan has been satisfied, the smart contract will transfer DNT directly to the borrower. Voting stake loans may also be applied to future organizations that allow voting rights to be acquired in a similar fashion to District 0x. So the profit sharing side of these, I'm really, really hoping that the regulatory environment allows people to do this in a safe, clear fashion without people being made an example of and being prosecuted for trying to do things that are illegal. And it's not so much, in my opinion, the fact that these things should be illegal. They should be looked at as very innovative approaches to automating finance. And concepts like this just take a lot of the guesswork out and does mitigate risk with just across all fronts. This is something that has to happen. And again, this is about educating anyone that you know who is working in the regulatory space. Because a lot of people don't even know these things are happening. They don't know how advanced smart contracts are getting every year. They don't know that, like, what it even means to have programmable money half the time. They're just starting to learn about Bitcoin. They're starting to learn about Ethereum and what a smart contract is. They don't even really dive in head first, like all the way down the rabbit hole and see like a few years down the road where we're going to be. And that requires a lot of education, and a lot of these people are working full-time in the regulatory space. They don't have time for that. But if someone does find ways to clearly educate everybody involved, then that is a really important one, which is why I'm excited about PJ's educational endeavor, because we're all going to be contributing to that. The community will probably be even contributing to that, because that is the single most important thing, in my opinion, with all of this, to have a long-term viable solution in place in terms of regulation and making this like viable for everybody. There has to be good regulation in place, and that's education, period, hands down. Down payment can be any digital asset, name, bazaar, domains, CryptoPunks, Ethereum. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. I could see that. So collateralized loans is essentially what you're getting at here, and the general loans, the same thing. If there's something I'm missing in general loans, we're running out of time, so I'm gonna skip. But if I'm missing something here, definitely bring it up and let everyone know. I would love to. I would hate to miss a key point here. Having such a wide source of collateral seems like it would be hard to manage. Well, not so much if it's just an ERC20 token. I mean, ERC20 tokens are just ERC20 tokens. Or if it's a name on Name Bazaar, that's basically the same thing. It's not too hard. You just have to have the person who's accepting it as collateral understand what the value of it is, which that could be automated as well, just pulling from APIs. And I don't know. I don't see that as a hard problem to solve, unless I'm missing something there. If you see something that could pose as a challenge, by all means go post on the comments on GitHub, because that's that's important that we have these discussions. So we have one more. I am running out of time here, but this one is another example of what I would love to see. They did a mock-up that basically takes what ETH looks like currently, and they ran with it, and they made it basically in lockstep with how that would function, and they have mock-ups to explain how it would all function. And this one is essentially a simplification and security of ICO participation, which this actually, they go into how you could invest in ICOs directly through this platform as long as the ICO is participating, and have a whitelisting set up through this and everything, which that's interesting. There's a lot of technical factors that come into play with building this. I think this would take a while to develop and actually get market awareness and get people to actually start using this, but I think it is a great proposal, especially considering one aspect that they didn't actually put in here is, and I added the tag of curation market. Because if this was made as a curation market and you curated ICOs, that opens a lot of interesting possibilities to an ICO. I even kind of came to the conclusion that you could actually use a curation token for ICOs as the ICO medium, and people just pay into the curation contract. And if the math was done so to where it only increased in very small increments to where you would actually raise the amount of money you're looking for, it wouldn't be any different than people buying into an ICO that was a centralized approach. The curation market contract would just take over that as a continuous token issuance model, but it would be a continuous thing. I guess you could cap it in the code and make the curation contract have a cap. But there's a lot of interesting ways you could do that. But the other side of it is, if someone just took the initiative to do this and started curating all the ICOs that are out there without their knowledge or permission, then A, there's nothing to stop that from happening if someone launched that. B, there would be this weird meta token that loosely represents a project and might confuse investors, but there's nothing you can do to stop that from happening. And music has the same problem. Like, if you're not the ICO creator and you were the one who listed on a curation market like this, like, would you be the one, would you just lose out on all those profits and everyone goes and just rides the hype train of your curation token rather than your ICO? Would they do both? Would it create more wealth to invest in your ICO? I think the answer is really in some type of vetting and identity system for the ICO creators, and they would have to be the ones who post it, and it would have like an emblem on there that says that they verified that this account and ICO posting on the curation market with, you could use Civic, you could use Keybase. Keybase would be interesting because you can actually enter Bitcoin addresses in Keybase, so that might be a little easier to have some type of proof there along with all the other social media ones that they allow. So, I don't know. So, oh, this is your proposal. Great, great. Oh yeah, I missed the name. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Yeah, so if anyone has questions for them, this is a good example though of what I want to see is like just this kind of effort to take what we're already doing, imagine it how it would look as a template, and then really just run with it. So if this is your proposal, let me ask you what do you think about the curation market aspect of that? It might be interesting because it would give ICO creators another source of revenue on top of their actual ICO. They could actually do an ICO through here using the curation contract. So would new coins be created on every new ICO? Well, that's the thing. Look at it from the perspective of music. Let's say I wasn't the first one who posted my music on this curation market platform, and someone else went and did it before me, and they're the ones getting those initial stakes. It would be new coins would be created on every single ICO that was posted on here as a curation token. It's just a contract that continuously issues tokens, and yeah, so it would work like that. Be kind of strange. I'll be honest, the curation idea is still unclear to me. So curation markets work like this. It's just a continuous token issuance contract where you send Ethereum in it, and it instantly sends you tokens that represent that piece of content that the contract is tied to. So I post a song, and if people like the song, they buy into it with their Ethereum, it automatically spits out the token. And it can continuously do this, but the contract itself actually increases the price just a little bit every time someone buys the token, and it curates the content up to the top, and people can actually profit, break even, or lose out depending on people cashing out of this as it rises in price, and you will actually see things naturally move up and down in price based on the contract raising the price. So it automates the market function of an increase in value is really what it's doing. It's kind of strange. That's one model, though. There's a lot of different models. Like I've even seen the analogy of Steemit being a curation market model. Rare Pepe. Those are all actually our district proposals themselves. That is a version of a curation market because people are just swarming around a specific piece of content with their tokens, and there's just a number of different ways you can do it. But this is a continuous token issuance curation market, which is specifically what we're doing with Meme Factory. And I hope that explains. If not, you're welcome to hit me up in Slack, and we can kind of go through that a little bit more. Let's see here. As long as you could cap it, that does make some sense. Yeah, I think so too. I don't know. Some people don't want to cap it, though, with their models. I guess you could, but I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could do it. So the token is used to stake your... I'm sorry. Am I reading that wrong? Did you misspell that? Sorry. Blank. Okay. What were you getting? Belief. Okay. So the token is used to stake your belief. So it's more so you're just buying into a piece of content you like, and you could even tie like downloads of a song to that, or it could be an actual ICO, or it could be a meme, and you're just trading on the popularity of a piece of content is essentially what you're doing. So, and you're not so much staking, you're actually buying a token, because when you put your Ethereum into the contract, you're getting a token instantly back. And yeah, it just works like that as a continuous token issuance, and you can actually send it back into there and get your Ethereum back at the new market value. So it seems like a hard pill to swallow, an infinite supply of, well, anything. Yeah, and it does. But here's the thing, though, Puttersworth, it wouldn't be infinite, because there's going to be a certain point where you're not going to want to buy that piece of content for 5 Ethereum. I mean, why would you want to buy a song for 5 Ethereum? Eventually, people are going to be like, well, that's too expensive, and people are going to start selling back into it, and it's going to lower the price. And then that piece of content has been curated, the market is saturated, and there doesn't need to really be a cap, because the cap is going to be the natural non-willingness to buy it for that price anymore. Similar to any token, really. And it just creates natural market fluctuations. So, yeah, your belief, like you believe this, whatever it is, will be worth more in the future. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I could see people doing that with the meme factory though, with just total trash memes that aren't even popular, and people just buy into it. I mean, rare pepes are a perfect example. I mean, where is the value in that? There's none other than the fact that people think Pepe is funny and obnoxious, and they're buying them for outrageous amounts of money, and it seems ridiculous, but they're doing it. Dogecoin is another perfect example. That's essentially another curation market. In fact, all crypto tokens are essentially curation tokens for whatever that token represents. In our case, it's District 0x. And Dogecoin, it's a meme. With a curation token contract, it could represent a song or anything. Yeah, it's kind of silly, but that's what we're doing right now. That's exactly what all of us are doing. We're using curation models. Let's see here. Dogecoin is amazing. Oh, the description helped a lot. Thank you, FYI. This comment was the one you just gave about the market will determine the value of the curated token, and it will go back down in price. Yeah, so it's important to understand that it's just you're using the same market functions as any other market. It's just a contract kind of taking over a small portion of that function. So it's kind of weird, but it's fairly natural. I don't know, it might turn into a really interesting type of decentralized exchange too, and who knows? There's no telling where any of this is going. My mind, I can't even sleep at night because everything is just like, everything's amazing, everything's amazing, everything is awesome. So, let's see. Dogecoin is worth more than Bitcoin. It is more than Bitcoin. It is life. See, it has value because people believe it does. So okay, good. That's much clearer. Okay, yeah, it's a little weird, but really, all crypto tokens are curation tokens. That's it. That's all they are. Dogecoin is a more efficient method of separating fools from their money. I don't know. I have Dogecoin, and I have since the day it came out. Still have them. Never spent them. I just got them, and I just keep them. I don't even know why. I think it's just like a memento collector's item. I don't have many, but I have them. Yeah, no. That's the number one rule is no exchange or speculation talk. I know today is a little blurring those lines because we're talking about the finance-related proposals, but yeah, that is the main rule. But the update is there is no update right now. We're at the end of the stream. I can say that. It is the Q&A. Feel free to ask me any questions. If there's a regulatory side of things that I didn't answer, something is unclear, you want a little feedback for your proposal to make sure that it's going to work right in terms of regulation, feel free. So, oh, we need a vote. Yes, we do. Hang on, Puttersworth. Let me do the vote really quick, and then we will jump on to your question. So let's see where we're at. Let me sort these from, let's see, most issues. Okay, so we went through finance. It had the most. That's good that we got through that one. We could go through curation markets, but I can feel like we're kind of hitting on a lot of these as in general. Yeah. Oh, I am misunderstood. Let's see here. Hold on. The vote is on shirtless you. What the vote are you doing? Oh my God. Okay. You know what? We're doing a vote to see what proposals we're doing next week. Not my shirt. Okay. So the vote will be. Yes, I will keep my shirt. Don't you worry. Create poll. Okay, poll question. What will next week's tag be? So we are picking between, let's see, we're going to do 30 seconds, so everyone be on your toes. If you do this, I will kick you some participation points for today's stream as a thank you. And let's see. We have software. We could do software. We have let's see, housing, real estate, and hospitality. We'll just do housing for short. We will do social. And let's go for the general tag, which is just general purpose markets like eBay, stuff like that. General work markets, I think, is what's in there. So, all right, is everyone ready? Give me, say when, and we'll do this. Yeah, no, not everybody can do a poll. Only I can. I don't know. You might be able to. I don't know how it's set. Anyway, go time. Boom. Polls up. Let's see what we're doing next week. Let's see. You got 30 seconds. Go, go, go. I will kick everyone some points if I have a decent turnout. If I only have one vote on each one of these, then I don't know what to do here. But it is go time. So go, go, go. Go. Gadget, go. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So, it looks like we only got 4 people who voted, and it's a 50-50 toss-up between general and software. So, I guess I'll flip a coin since it was 50-50. Okay, here we go. General and software. Heads is general. It is tails. So we're going for general. Okay, let's see here. All right. Did I say heads was general? Sorry, it's getting late, Tech. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's software. Sorry. Did I mention that I'm a musician and we live in outer space and we don't pay attention very good? Anyway, let's do the Q&A. Feel free to shoot with some questions. Puttersworth, you had a question up here. Let me go back. Going back to the pooling to become a whale proposal, what about all the US-based people wanting to pool in an ICO and there's only one non-US based guy who acts as the lead to invest in the pool and said ICO? Seems like a big problem and gray area. Yeah. That's going to be a big problem. And again, just like local Bitcoins, if you go do a search for local Bitcoin arrests, the list is getting up there right now, and it's not necessarily illegal to use a peer-to-peer exchange or do something that's in the legal gray area. But if you are excessively trying to run a business, like a money service business, on behalf of other people like that, it doesn't matter. The same regulations that apply to banks are going to apply to that individual doing that. So the person who's in another country investing U.S. funds on behalf of all of the U.S. people that are participating, that's going to cause a lot of problems for not only the U.S. people, but the person in the other country. The other country, okay, so let's say it's legal there, and the U.S. is out of their jurisdiction and can't actually prosecute that person. What's going to happen is the people in the U.S. participating in that are probably going to be made an example of at some point in time. So, I mean, if you're declaring that you're not a U.S. citizen when you're getting into an ICO and you're getting it anyway, that's going to cause a lot of problems. But I mean, there's contracts that already do that kind of thing right now. So what does it mean when there's just a contract doing it and not a person? It's tough to say. I see ICOs going a completely decentralized route too, to kind of route around a lot of the regulatory hurdles of jurisdictional yes and no's. I'll say it. So it's really hard to say, Puttersworth. There is no straightforward answer other than, well, like with ICOs, is it legal? I don't know, maybe. And it depends on so many factors that it's unbelievable. And that's unfortunate that I can't give you a straight answer, because we need straight answers. We need some binary yes or no responses. So we could create like a programmatical regulatory system, kind of like there's a few of them. I saw one that was posted in Slack today that is basically legal programmatical APIs that you could actually get yes or no responses to regulation in certain regions. But that is a probably multi-decade or longer endeavor because laws continuously change and are continuously updated. So that's hard to say. But the regulatory space is very analog right now, while everything else in the world is pretty much digital. That's like the next stage, is disrupting regulation, so it has to become digital now. And I'm a big fan. Automate all the things, right? So you did say you would make one more poll. Do you think you are a 310s or Tech? You just simmer down. Simmer down. That's not a real question. Yeah, I appreciate your thoughts on the question. Thank you. I know there is no perfect binary answer. There should be, because it's kind of ironic that taking and creating a non-binary, very inflexible analog regulatory system and putting it into a programmatical yes or no environment, it's kind of ironic that actually creates more flexibility. I mean, that's a little absurd, but that is the reality we're facing right now, and it's one I think that I fully support everyone who's working on that right now. I think there's 3 projects. I don't know the names of them right now. Slipped my mind at the moment, but there are like 3 of them, and if anyone can think of any more or sees any future ones, by all means reach out to me. I'm really interested in that space. Regulators don't even care about breaking up monopolies. The fact that they care about crypto at all says a lot. Yeah, because crypto breaks up monopolies as taking a Buckminster Fuller approach. It's creating a new model that makes the existing models obsolete rather than fighting the existing reality. I mean, that's that a lot of people are kind of upset about this, but it is the future, it is reality, and that's where we're headed, and it's very much needed, in my opinion. I mean, we need to take humans out of their power trips, I think, in some scenarios, and move in more of a forward-thinking manner, because we're not going to last the next 100 years if we don't start being a little more forward-thinking and have more than a 10-year plan. We need 100-year and 200 and 300-year plans as humans, and I think blockchains are really taking a step in that direction. Regulators, yeah, okay, it has a question mark at the end, so it was a question. Sorry, my mistake, Tech. The answer is ... We're not going there, man. It is the end of the stream, so does anyone have any more questions? I would feel free to oh, you can't use points in a sentence. You have to actually like put it in there, and but before you check your points, let me kick everyone some points. Boom! There you go. Flying head of Satoshi hooked it up. Everyone got 100 points. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And until next time, I will give it a few more seconds. You got one more question? I'm here. Otherwise, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll see you in Slack, everybody. Have a good night, day, wherever you are.